Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Tuesday, August 13th, and it's 9:46 p.m. I'm getting a little bit of a later start tonight. I actually went out for supper to a local Italian restaurant with my parents, and they were not available yesterday because of some tests that my stepfather had. So we had a lovely evening tonight. So anyway, that was in honor of my birthday, of course, and thank you all of you who wished me a happy birthday, and I would like to return that to all of the other August babies out there because it seems like we have quite a few. So anyway, happy birthday to all you guys that are celebrating this month as well. And let's get started. There's a lot of Q-related news, of course, always more than we can even get to, but let's give it our old college try anyway. Okay. Also, wanted to just take a moment and thank you guys that have contributed either through Patreon or through buying me coffee or sending money via PayPal or even sending things to my P.O. box here. I appreciate it so much, and I really do have the kindest listeners. I couldn't be here if it wasn't for you, because I would have to take some of this time to do other freelance work, and so I do appreciate that. I love doing this. I love talking to you guys every night, and I love the feedback that I get. Your comments never cease to make me laugh, and a lot of them are very informative too. And in fact, I get some corrections sometimes, which I always appreciate. Don't ever feel bad if you want to correct me or if you disagree with me. I don't get upset or bent out of shape about that at all. So always feel free that way. And there's just a really good group of core people here, and I appreciate you all. I really do. I really believe I know most of you by name, or at least most of the ones that always respond. So anyway, I enjoy that, and I'm sure you do as well. All right, well, let's get started here. Now, this from Donald J. Trump says, our intelligence has informed us that the Chinese government is moving troops to the border with Hong Kong. Everyone should be calm and safe. Well, this is interesting. There's a lot going on in Hong Kong. I mean, a lot. And I think actually this shows some of the footage, if I'm not mistaken. I did this this morning, actually. I did most of this, so sometimes I can't always remember unless I put a little reminder. But it says here, this is by Thomas Van Linge, and it says, all passenger please leave the airport immediately under safe conditions. That was being announced over the Hong Kong airport intercom. And this person said, astounding how many travelers are completely disregarding this by staying put. And I wanted to scroll down because there's a lot of footage in this thread. So, or at least there was, let me see. And a lot of people are staying put simply because they don't have anywhere to go. These are travelers, and they're kind of stuck there. And while they have been safe at the airport, being asked to leave the airport, they're not so gung-ho on doing that. And I could understand why. I don't think I would want to leave the airport if I had landed in Hong Kong and all of a sudden this erupted. So I can understand where they're coming from. Anyway, let me see. Well, I'm not sure. There was a ton of footage here. Oh, here's some of it coming up. All right. All right. Hong Kong protesters and passengers are having discussions, sometimes heated, other times calm. Protesters try to explain calmly the terminal is shut. But, you know, really, where are they going to go? They're either trying to leave Hong Kong or they've possibly just arrived, but I believe these are people that are trying to leave, and you know, they've been sleeping at the airport and so forth, and you know, it's expensive to go out there and get a hotel for an indeterminate amount of time. So I can understand where some of these people are coming from. It must be very confusing. and frustrating. And here is two women who obviously work at the airport. They're all wearing these masks, and I believe it's probably because of the Chinese government is able to read faces, and they do have the ability to do that, and they're probably worried about possible future punishment under the Chinese government. And that is what I believe, but there could be another reason. I don't know. But it says, sorry for the inconvenience, and here is another young Chinese girl saying sorry. And there's very, very polite people. I've heard only good things about Hong Kong. Personally, I've had family that has traveled there and visited there many times, and they've always had good things to say, that people there are very polite. Or maybe that's just their experience. But it says Hong Kong protesters completely cornered what they claim to be undercover policemen, guy with hands in front of his face. And I just wanted to show you a few of these because it is an accurate picture taken by a non-mainstream media person who, this stuff is really not being reported anyway. Of course, it's being reported by people like myself and others that are trying to get the alternative narrative out there. But look at the amount of people there. It says Hong Kong International Airport at 2100. Protest numbers have only increased over the past hours as many went straight here after work. Mood is more relaxed now. Most passengers have accepted they won't be able to leave tonight. So there's a lot of people there. Many of them are just sleeping there in the airport and probably buying food there, I would assume. And not a comfortable, if you've ever been stranded somewhere, and I have been on more than one occasion due to weather, snow, usually I would always, when I was in the States, I would come home for Christmas, usually, and a lot of times going back, I went from Syracuse, and a lot of times the plane would be delayed, or, I would have to stay overnight there because of snow. So I know what that's like. I know how frustrating it is and how hungry you get, because after a certain point, all the places in the airport close and there's no food or nothing to drink except the vending machines, which, sell out very quickly. It's not very comfortable. I'm sure some of you have been in that situation yourselves. One year it took me literally 24 hours from the time my plane left. I had to hop and skip to all these different airports because they were trying to avoid the snow, and I ended up, it was like a tour of the United States. I went to, all sorts of states. I ended up in New Orleans 24 hours after leaving Syracuse. It was quite the experience, and I was exhausted. All right. That's neither here nor there. So Hong Kong, two girls are standing around with a laptop showing all the consulate numbers. Despite the tensions earlier today, protesters are generally doing everything they can to help passengers. And, again, they are very polite people. Even though they're protesting, they're not harming anyone. They're not the opposite. Actually, they are being harmed, but they are not harming others, and they're very polite to the people that are caught in this, due to no fault of their own. And here, Hong Kong breaking. Police have arrived at Hong Kong airport. Hundreds of protesters have run upstairs to stop them from coming in. I really would feel, if I was in this situation, a little bit intimidated, because I trust the protesters, I just don't trust the police. And the police in Hong Kong are doing what the Chinese are telling them to do. So, it's not a good situation. And I know if I was a young person and that was my country and the future of not my country, but my city, and the future of my city was in jeopardy, I would be there protesting as well. Hong Kong police were chased off at first. They have been chased out of the airport again. And I like this because you're getting the news straight from somebody that's there. And I said, I'm sure this little guy has no clue whatsoever what's happening here tonight. And he probably doesn't, and that's just as well. He looks quite content. Hong Kong, this is what it took for paramedics to evacuate a suspected police officer out of the airport after he was surrounded by protesters and fainted. So, yeah. I guess if I was a police officer and I was surrounded by that many protesters, I think I would faint as well. All passengers, please leave the airport immediately under safe conditions, being announced over the Hong Kong airport intercom. Astounding how many travelers are completely disregarding this by staying put, and I understand why. And it says, we've been here all day, Tom. We've put up with all the BS already. It's the first time us tourists can relax without being surrounded or scared. Where do they want us to go? And this person says, why is this happening? Did communism screw things over here or there? I don't know. I mean, what's the root cause? From where is started? Now, this obviously... English is obviously not this person's first language. It all started because the West, which means U.S. Oh, yes, of course, it's always the U.S. fault. Always. I'm not even going to read that. And it says, here comes the Chinese military. Scary. Now, there are a lot of Canadians in Hong Kong simply because there are a ton of Chinese in Canada. There's a lot of Chinese. I would think it's very safe to assume that there's way more Chinese than there are African Americans here. And, you know, I don't know. I think I'd probably speak for most Canadians that we welcome them because they are hard workers, they're family people, they obey the laws, they pay their taxes, and they usually buy businesses when they come over. But when Hong Kong went back to the mainland China after, Britain pulled out, there was a mass migration of Chinese to Canada, mainly the West Coast, but Toronto, actually there's a huge section, Scarborough, and the east end of Toronto is mainly Chinese. And so a lot of the students that also a lot of people send their kids over here to be educated, and they go back to Hong Kong in the summer. So there are a lot of Canadians in Hong Kong in the summer. So this is a Canadian here, and he says, here comes the Chinese military. Scary. Well, it would be. Like watching a train crash happen before your eyes. You know you should look away, but you can't. Now, I'm not going to go through all this, but I did want to give you an idea of what's happening because you're not going to get it from the mainstream news, and you already know that. That's why most of you do not watch the mainstream news. So let's go back here and let's go on to another interesting topic, that of Frito. Yeah, Como there. Let's look at this. Probably most of you have seen this, but maybe not. Now, this is interesting, but let me preface this by saying something. Okay, CNN's Chris Como threatening Trump supporter with violence. I'll throw your punk ass down the stairs. Now, this person apparently, or so he says, now a lot of people have said and stated on Twitter that they didn't know that, he wasn't, his name wasn't Frito, because I guess Rush Limbaugh always calls him Frito. Now, I don't listen to Rush Limbaugh. I like him, but I don't regularly listen to him. And maybe that's so. I don't know. Maybe some of you can verify that for me. But apparently, Chris Como has even referred to himself as Frito, and we've got the evidence of that. And certainly Rush Limbaugh does as well. So this person was saying, look, I didn't know, that's not your name. But let's... So I don't think he was trying to stir up something, but let's just listen.
The right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN. Fredo is from The Godfather. He was a weak brother.
Isn't that your
And
brother?
they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian? It's a fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us. Is that a cool fucking thing?
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't be a phone me.
Hey man, hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're gonna have a big fucking problem.
What's the
It's a
problem?
little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you.
You call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your
I
nickname?
didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking
I
Fredo.
thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar. You want to be a man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up,
You
man.
want to be a man out here, then fucking own it. Then own what you said.
Hey.
Then own what you said.
Listen,
Take
man,
them
I don't have a problem with you, man.
You're gonna have a fucking problem.
What? What are you gonna do about it?
I'll fucking ruin your shit.
something, man.
I'll
Do
fucking
something.
throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Please do.
Why, so
You
you
don't
can
wanna
fucking
do
sue?
that. You don't wanna
So you
do
can
that.
fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it
Go
then?
take a swing. You wanna call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
I'm not gonna swing
Take
at
a
you.
fucking
I'm
swing.
not gonna
Watch your
swing.
fucking hands.
I'm not gonna
Take a
swing.
swing. Watch your
Hey,
fucking
I'm not
hands.
gonna swing.
Take a swing.
Sorry about the language.
Come on, boy. So you want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Listen,
I'm
man,
right
I'm
fucking
not
here.
doing anything.
I'll fucking wreck your shit. I'll fucking wreck your shit.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing.
I thought it was your name.
Get up now.
I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right? Hey, you didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was your name.
I'm
breaking it up. I'm breaking it up. This is my buddy. Hey, look at all these cameras. You're in for it. You're in for it.
for what?
You're
You
in
call me
for it.
fucking Fredo?
You're in for it.
You call me
You're
Fredo?
in.
Now, again, I apologize for the language. I certainly don't have any control over that, but I needed to play that in case you haven't seen it, because you have to see it to really appreciate it. And, you know, I guess in The Godfather, I've never been a Godfather fan, but I guess Fredo was the weak brother. So, you know, Chris Como took that as an insult, but in saying it was like, oh, that's like calling me the N-word. But this guy was very calm. I don't think that he was trying to start. He goes, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to start anything. No, I'm not going to throw a punch. But Chris Como just literally lost it. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've been called things before and never really, like, I'll laugh it off. Even if it's just really rude, I just kind of laugh it off and go on. I don't want to start anything. Who would? And this guy seemed very mild-mannered to me, the man that called him Fredo. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to start something. Maybe he was trying to insult him. But then he said, look, you seem like a much more reasonable man than you are on TV. I don't really, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading this situation wrong because it's a little snippet of, you know, something, and sometimes it's hard to make a judgment on a little snippet of something without seeing everything that preceded it or happened after. So I don't know, but boy, this Chris Como, I mean, now the whole Fredo thing has just blown up, and he's made it so much worse for himself because now everybody is going to be calling him that. They know how much it bothers him. But yeah, it just really quite interesting. Now, there's more on this, actually, as we go along. Let's go back. And let's see here. And by the way, Trump is never one to let something like that go to waste. He has now put out T-shirts that something about Fredo on it, and I can't remember what it says now. I just saw it briefly, but I laughed because I thought, okay, that's something that Trump would do. He does like to rub salt into the wounds. But this is from Trump War Room, and Donald Trump retweeted it, so he obviously, and here he is. It says, who am I then? Fredo? Como asked during a 2010 radio interview when his brother was considering running for governor. Hashtag fake news Fredo strikes again. And he did, because I listened to that little clip in an interview. Chris Como once referred to himself as Fredo in a radio interview. CNN anchor Chris Como, who was captured on a viral video getting into a profanity-laced exchange with a person who called him Fredo, he once called himself that because they were talking about his brother and they were asking him about his brother, and he said, what am I, Fredo? So I don't know. if it's considered the N-word for Italians, do you think he would have said that about himself? I don't know. You never know with people like that. But this from Diamond and Silk. Remember when Anna Navarro referred to John Jr. as Frito while filing her nails on the Chris Como show? Well, no, I don't remember it because I don't watch Chris Como and I have no intention of starting. But according to Diamond and Silk, who I trust, says remember when Ann Navarro referred to Don Jr. as Frito while filing her nails on the Chris Como show. I don't remember him calling her out for using that word. Now he's all upset because someone used the word on him. Hypocrite. Boo-hoo. Cry me a river. And they are responding to Katrina Pearson. Did Chris Como just say that Frito is to Italians what the N-word is to black people? The N-word is a dehumanizing word used against blacks who endured years of oppression. Frito is a term from The Godfather referring to the dumb brother. Equivocating the two is pure racism. I would tend to agree with that. I don't think it's anywhere close to the N-word. In fact, I don't think any word is close to the N-word. It's a horrible word to use on a race. And it's always used on a specific race. And yes, they have endured years of oppression, slavery, and worse, racism, you name it. So yeah, equivocating the two, no, doesn't work in my books anyway. I don't know about you, but not even close. And why is it okay for him to call Don Jr. Frito, but he totally loses his cool when somebody uses it on him? A little bit hypocritical. A lot. Yeah, more than a little. All right. So let's go down here and oh yes, we've looked at this already. Oh, I know why I put this in here again, because somebody asked me in the comments last time, they asked me, well, where's that video? Do you have a link to it? Because they wanted to share it with their sleeping friends. So I did bring this up, and what I'm going to do for you who asked and anybody else that wants to see this video and be able to access it so they can pass it along, I'm going to put the link to this because it's not on YouTube for obvious reasons, but you can find it here. I will pin this link to the first comment so that it'll be available to all of you if you want to wake up your friends. This is, of course, the video where everyone is saying the exact same words. And it shows that the mainstream media is in fact scripted, as we all know. All right, so let's go back here. I put it in there so I wouldn't forget to tell you guys because I wanted to address that. All right, and this I'm sure will now this made me laugh. I was drinking some water and I will confess that some of it did spray out my nose. Bill de Blasio draws 15-person crowd in Iowa. 15. Wow. Look at those numbers. I'm sure he'll beat Trump. Oh yeah. 15 people in Iowa. Bill de Blasio draws 15-person crowd in Iowa. Presidential hopeful. Well, he can keep on hoping, but Bill de Blasio had a meager turnout for his first event of the day in Iowa on Saturday, drawing in around 15 people. Wow. Wonder how much he had to pay them. And it's excuse me, I have ice on my back and it's getting kind of cold. You know, it's interesting because I was just looking at some of the videos of past crowds at Trump rallies. And really, you would think you were either at a rock concert or a massive sports event because he packs the place out every place he goes. And yet they try to tell us that Joe Biden is ahead of him in the polls. I mean, could you imagine that you are a president, and going back to de Blasio, imagine that you are a presidential hopeful and you go to where was it, Iowa? Did it say? Now I can't even remember what I just read. Hang on here. Yeah, Iowa. I don't know why I wanted to say Ohio, but anyway, Iowa. So you go to Iowa, and you're expecting a turnout because you would think that people are interested. Nope, 15 people, 15, and I bet you those were curious people that were, kind of like when you go and visit an animal in a zoo. You just kind of you're curious, yeah. You're curious. That's what I think it was. All right, and let's look at this next, because we can. No other reason. Well, it'd help if I actually clicked on it. Okay, Sinclair Broadcast Group's false news promo, which it made news anchors recite, goes viral. See here. So Sinclair Broadcast Group's false news promo, which it made news anchors recite, goes viral. Now let's look at this, because we can. Now this actually is an old one, and I'm not sure how this snuck in here, but it's still interesting. Even though it's a year old, it's still interesting. Sinclair Broadcast Group has been thrust into the spotlight by a viral video showing anchors from its news stations. Okay, this is why I put it in here, because all of a sudden I thought, why did I put this in here? It's old, but it links into the one where all the news anchors were saying the exact same thing, scripted, the one that someone just asked me for the link to so they could share with their sleeping friends. So this links into that, and that is why I have focused on this. All right, Sinclair Broadcast Group has been thrust into the spotlight by a viral video showing anchors from its news stations nationwide reading a company-mandated promotional announcement warning against media bias and false news. The video, compiled by the website Deadspin, presents local anchors reciting from the same script, which in part echoes President Trump's criticism of news organizations. The promos are drawing scrutiny as Baltimore-based Sinclair, known for its conservative political leanings, already forces its local stations to run right-leaning commentaries and news packages that are produced by the parent company. Sinclair, already the biggest TV broadcaster in the U.S., has 193 television stations and a deal to acquire an additional 42 from Tribune Media, which owns outlets KTLA in Los Angeles, WPIX in New York, and WGN in Chicago. The $3.9 billion acquisition is still being reviewed by the government for regulatory approval. If the deal is approved, Sinclair would reach 72%, that's right, 72% of American households. The script, read by various news anchors included, were concerned about the troubling trend of irresponsible one-sided news stories plaguing our country. The sharing of bias and false news has become all too common on social media. Unfortunately, it said some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Now, we all remember that from the video that I played yesterday. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy because one right after another, they were just repeating that exact same phrase. It also describes Sinclair stations as an apolitical source of credible, factual reporting. The Seattle Post-Intelligencer posted a full script online. The Deadspin compilation video, which shows clips of dozens of anchors reciting the same words, has circulated widely. A number of news websites, as well as HBO's John Oliver, said the promo sets the stage for Sinclair to inject its political views into local news. And of course, well, isn't that what they all do? I mean, let's not just single them out. I don't know, sometimes because they all do it, all of them. But But Sinclair got a vote of confidence on Monday in a tweet from Trump. So funny to watch fake news networks, among the most dishonest group of people I've ever dealt with, criticize Sinclair Broadcasting for being biased, the president tweeted. So he's not giving them a vote of confidence by saying that at all. They're misreading that. And of course they would, because what Trump was doing is pointing out that, yeah, it's pretty hypocritical for them to be calling out Sinclair when they all do the exact same thing. That's what Trump was saying. He wasn't saying, oh yeah, I have confidence in Sinclair. No, he wasn't. But of course, they're going to put their spin on everything, as they always do. Boris, somebody whose last name I can't pronounce, a senior advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign, is an analyst for Sinclair, whose commentaries run on its stations. Sinclair stations also provided a friendly forum for Trump's interviews during the campaign. Sinclair defended the false news promo. We aren't sure of the motivation for the criticism, but find it curious that we would be attacked for asking our news people to remind their audience that unsubstantiated reports exist on social media, which result in an ill-informed public with potentially dangerous consequences. Scott Livington, Sinclair's senior vice president of news, said in a statement, "It is ironic that we would be attacked for messages promoting our journalistic initiative for fair and objective reporting and for specifically asking the public to hold our newsrooms accountable. Our local stations keep our audience's trust by staying focused on fact-based reporting and clearly identifying commentary. Most current Sinclair employees can't speak publicly about the promos, but the practice of mandating anchors to recite such statements is already drawing resistance from one of the Tribune stations that Sinclair plans to take over." Jeff Hoover, the producer of the morning program on Tribune's WGN in Chicago, said he will not have anchors read any statements from Sinclair once the acquisition goes through. Sinclair, there is no way any of our on anchors and reporters will read their scripted messages on our show. Chicago's very own, not owned, Hoover said on Twitter. But here's the thing. Yeah, okay. Like in this case, they were reciting something that's very true, and showing that, yeah, the news is scripted. But, you know, they got called out on it probably because the message was pro-Trump, but all of them do it. So Trump was not necessarily endorsing them. He was saying it's pretty hypocritical to call them out for doing the very same thing everyone else is doing. And I would agree with that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and I did. So let's go on, because there's lots more to be had out there. And this from Donald J. Trump. Bill O'Reilly, and he says, "Thank you, Bill." Speaking to Bill O'Reilly, who said, "While researching my upcoming book, The United States of Trump, we could not find one example, not one, not even one example of the president discussing skin color in a pejorative way or promoting Caucasian dominance." Now, I say that to people all the time. They'll say, "Oh, well, he's a racist." And I'll say, "Well, could you give me an example?" They never can. Never. I've never had somebody say, "Well, you know, there was the time that he did." No, they never can. And I'll say, "Well, okay, I mean, I get what you're saying. He's racist. Okay, but could you just give me one example so that, you know, I could agree with you?" I mean, obviously I'm not going to agree with them, but I would hear them out. But they never can give me even one example. But I can give them tons of examples where he was not racist and he showed indifference. I mean, not indifference, but not, I guess, impartiality is the word I'm looking for. He showed impartiality. He doesn't care if you're white or you're black. He cares if you're American, and he cares if you're for the country. He cares if you are, working to make the country better because you're in it. That's what he cares about. He doesn't care about the color of people's skin. All right. Now I've got a little tiny buzzing fly around here. No, really, it's here. I saw it. I know people are saying, "I didn't see a fly." Did you see a fly? I didn't see it. It's there. All right. Now, this is another thing that you may find jaw bouncing, not jaw dropping. The jaw will drop, but it'll drop so hard it'll bounce. jaw bouncing. Let's take a look. And this you may find hard to believe. I don't, not at all. This is from Google Patents. Nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. Now, many of us have known about this for years and have heard about it, but it's entirely different when you see the patent for it. This is US 650614B2. And you can download the PDF. You know, I will actually put the link to this as well, and I will pin it to the first comment if you wish to go out and peruse this on your own, or share it with someone else that may not be awake. Okay, abstract. Psychological effects. Hang on, and I'm just going to make this a little bigger for you tiny phone people. See, I'm always thinking about you guys. Psychological effects that have been observed in human subjects in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed with certain frequencies near a half hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material, or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal or as a video signal. The image displayed on a computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. So these images may be pulsed. You may not even be aware of them. They may be going into your subconscious subliminally. And, you know, we've heard this stuff. The first time I heard about this, to tell you the truth, was on Alex Jones, and he talked about the TVs being pulsed at a certain frequency to put you into the brain waves that cause you to sit back and be easily programmable. So then, and easily, and to make you more suggestible. So when they play the food commercials. Another reason why I don't watch TV, because I'm very, very sensitive to all that. I see something and then I get thinking about it and I think, well, yeah, I should look at that. Like, programming is very, very successful on me. And that's why I try to stay away from anything that is trying to program me, like regular TV. So anyway, yeah, it causes certain brain waves that cause you to go into that relaxed state. And I've even seen where they cause things like, even some of the news shows and stuff have rotating circles and things, which is supposed to put you into that mindset much quicker as well. And then they bring you the news and you are much more programmable. You're much more receptive to what they're telling you. You question less and you accept more. And that's what they do. They do that with all television programming. And people would call me absolutely freaking crazy. They would say, okay, you've got to step away from this stuff because you are getting way out there. But then we see there is a patent for that. Yes, US 6506148B2. So, and it was applied for in 2001. 2001. Application filed by Henricus G. Luz, and 2001 0601, priority to US 09872. I don't know what that means. And here's publication of, there was publication of the patent in 2002, 2003, application was granted. And it was then it was published 2003, 2019, application status is active. And 2021, the anticipated expiration. So once the patent expires, then of course anyone can use that technology. 2021. Pretty close. That's not that far away. So this is very, very interesting, and it goes through the background of the invention and the claims. I think this is worth the read. We don't have time to pursue it in depth right now, but this might be something to do a separate program on and show the technology and what it does, how it works. But if any of you are interested in reading about this further, I will put the link. It's far too much to read in a show where we're trying to cover several news stories, but yeah, it's very, very interesting what they are doing to us. And it's interesting too, because I have been studying more about electromagnetic fields and so forth, and how they use them to mess with us, including even changing the frequency of music. It does affect us greatly. And music was intended, it soothes our spirit, it has a lot of health benefits, but they changed the frequency of that because we don't want anything good for us, do we? No. And people have had really good, if you've ever heard of grounding, maybe that's something that I should talk about sometime as well. They are doing what they call grounding and making sure that you can ground your bed, and it keeps out all the frequencies that are bad, and it grounds you to the frequency of the earth. I know this sounds out there, but it's it's scientific. I'm not just pulling this out of anywhere. It's true, and you can even get what are called grounding sheets that will allow you to be grounded, so that because even our shoes, they made really, the Indians never wore shoes, and if they did, they wore hide skin because it still connects you and grounds you to the earth, whereas our man-made shoes do not, and they cut us off from the earth. And we were meant to walk on the earth, the grass, whatever, and connect and ground to the frequency of the earth, which allows us to heal. It's just extremely good for you health-wise, and that's why you feel so much better if you go walking in the grass in your bare feet. You always do. Or you're walking on a beach in your bare feet. You feel good. You just feel better because you've grounded yourself to the frequency of the earth. Now, I'm not going to get off way into that because there's a lot to that, a lot. But it is scientific. It's not something I'm just making up or something that's out there and just, new agey stuff. It's really not. There is if you guys are interested, I will do it'd probably be a fairly short show, but I would do a show on that because it is fascinating. Anyway, let's get back to the news. Now, let's go here, back to here, and this is very important as well. This is from a Google executive. I thought these two things would do well close together. Now, breaking. Project Veritas, which I have a great deal of respect for, current senior Google engineer goes public on camera. Tech is dangerous, taking sides. Now, let me see here. This doesn't seem to be coming up, but let's hope it's still there. Yes, it is. All right, I'm going to play this for you. It's 2 minutes and 17 seconds, but it's worth hearing.
I'm a senior software engineer. I work on artificial intelligence and the Google Assistant. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm very concerned to see big tech and the big media merge basically with the political party, with the Democrat Party. I have a PhD, I have 5 years of experience at Google, and I just know how algorithms are. They don't write themselves. We write them to do what we want them to do. I look at search, and I look at Google News, and I see what it's doing, and I see Google executives go to Congress and say that it's not manipulated, it's not political, and I'm just so sure that's not true. I think as the election started to ramp up, the angle that the Democrats and the media took was that anyone who liked Donald Trump was a racist, even a Nazi, and that got picked up everywhere. Well, I think we're just at a really, important point in human history. I think for a while we had tech that was politically neutral. Now we have tech that really, first of all, is taking sides in a political contest, which I think, anytime you have big corporate power merging with political parties, it can be dangerous. And I think more generally, we have to just decide now that we kind of are seeing tech use its power to manipulate people. It's a time to decide, do we run the technology? Does the technology run us? I really don't buy the idea that big tech is politically neutral, and I think we need to start incorporating that into whatever strategy we use to have a democracy going forward. Are we going to continue to have elections that mean anything? Are we going to continue to think for ourselves, or are we going to just let the biggest tech companies decide who wins every election from now on?
So why did you decide to come to Project Veritas?
You guys have done a lot of good reporting on a variety of topics. I do think it's a credible news organization.
They may be able to stop one man, but they can't stop all of us. Be brave. Do something.
My name's Greg.
This person, his name is Greg Capolo, and I have utmost respect for him, because it must be difficult coming from being a Google executive. And, of course, we can trust this person because he's seen it, and he's telling us, yes, they may say they're not biased, they may say that they're not political, but that's a lie. Technology is not unbiased, because and the algorithms don't write themselves. They don't write themselves. Somebody's writing this stuff. Somebody is inputting this in and saying this is acceptable and this is not acceptable. So good stuff there. And I have a great deal of respect both for this man that's coming forward and for Project Veritas. They have done incredible work. So there you go. And let's go back now, because there's lots more, always more. And let's look at this. Seeing a lot of news stories about this kind of stuff coming out. Everybody saying nothing's being done, but there is. Broadway producer Ben Sprecher, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, arrested on child porn charges. Now, have you ever seen so much of this stuff in the news? Ever? Like ever. It's happening, probably every other day, every third day, something major comes out about somebody being charged with child pornography. And I like it. The more people that we have off the streets that are doing this, that are harming children, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I wish that, I struggle because as a Christian, I have compassion, I have mercy, but I really believe that these men at the very least should be chemically castrated or fully castrated if this is what they want to do and will continue to do. But I have heard from, I heard this from a well-known psychiatrist directly, said that doesn't work because their mind still has that desire and they will still molest. They may not penetrate, but they will still molest. So I don't know. A lot of people say, well, the best idea is to just kill them. I don't know. I don't know, aside from being radically saved, how any of these men could turn from this, because it seems like it is so in there that not very often you ever have a pedophile that really turns and changes their ways. I don't know. But anyway, the Broadway producer behind the failed musical Rebecca was busted Tuesday for downloading child porn as disgusted neighbors said he once went around collecting signatures to get faster internet. For 9 years, he was not even able to say hello, and suddenly he was quite friendly. He needed to have his internet, a female resident said of accused kitty perv neighbor Ben Sprecher, 65 of Manhattan, who famously had his Broadhurst Theater play Rebecca, the musical torpedoed by a con man. Sprecher, who had produced everything from Broadway's Brighton Beach Memoirs to American Buffalo, as well as national tour of Little House on the Prairie, is accused of downloading more than 100 videos and photos containing child pornography, according to court documents. The sick stash included a nearly 46-minute video of a girl described as between 10 and 12 engaging in various acts with an adult male, the paper alleges. Sprecher shared at least 4 of the twisted files with an undercover agent over 3 days in June, the documents claim. He has admitted to downloading the illicit porn, court papers say. Now, and here, Sprecher was picked up by Homeland Security and the New York Police Department about 6 a.m. at his Tony townhome on West 122nd Street in Morningside Heights, authorities said. His family was home at the time, according to law enforcement sources. The police officers went inside the building and they then brought him out. Sprecher had a smile on his face, probably nervous and embarrassed about what was going on, said DB Shark, a web-based radio host and local. He is a pleasant guy, Shark said. This is so shocking, but you never know who's next door, and isn't that the truth? Sprecher allegedly amassed the online kiddie porn between at least October 2018 and this month. So, yeah. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of this. I just wanted to let you know that there are continually, these arrests are ongoing continually. We're hearing about it, well, it seems to me like it's just about every day, but I may be exaggerating. I don't know. But it seems that somewhere somebody's always being arrested for this, whereas you never used to hear about it. Not much. Okay, let's go back, and I'm trying to get through as much as I can tonight. And this from Joe M. Very interesting. I would like very much to know why conservative Chief Justice John Roberts was such a staunch defender of the Constitution until he got a visit from John Brennan and then suddenly became a huge fan of Obamacare. And it says he's responding to this Skywalker 17, who said, Joe, the article also mentions a passenger identified as John Roberts. He flew with Epic Find on at least 2 occasions, according to flight records from March 22nd, 2010 and February 10th, 2011. Could it be compromised Chief Justice John Roberts? Well, I would say yes. If he's been to the famous island, then I'd say he's compromised. And if he changed so radically after his little visit from John Brennan, who we all know is a traitor to America, then I think that's a pretty safe bet, wouldn't you think? I mean, I do. Now, I know we're probably at the hour mark, but I really do have to cover just a few other things in this video. I'm not going to be doing a second one tonight, possibly tomorrow, because there is more and more news coming out about all of this stuff. But let's go here. We know that Epic Finds Island was raided by the FBI, and excuse me. Oh, there we go. Epic Finds computers seized during FBI raid on private island. And that's what I wanted to make sure that you knew. And also, I have found out that, Rusty Shackelford, is that his name? He does the high definition drone footage of the island, and his pictures are spectacular. He does a wonderful, wonderful job. Well, now, in order to stop him from spying, because he goes right down and looks in windows and everything, they have started to board up all the windows on the island. So they definitely do not want anyone to know what is going on inside and what they are taking. So, but they have seized all the computers. And that in itself is, well, you and I both know what they're going to find on those computers. Drone video shows FBI agents and NYPD cops seizing computer equipment from Epic Finds mansion on a private island in the Caribbean, according to a report Tuesday. This video was shot Monday during a raid on the island, the 70-acre island Epic Find owned in the Virgin Islands, CNBC said. It shows at least 2 desktop computers and an Apple computer were packaged and marked for transport, CNBC said. The raid was one of several conducted at various locations tied to the late multimillionaire financier and convicted corn niblet fondler, law enforcement sources have told the Post. Authorities were searching for toys and other evidence to corroborate claims by hundreds of women who have accused Epic Find of sexually abusing them when they were underage girls, the source said. Epic Find was busted July 6 on corn niblet trafficking charges and apparently hanged himself. Yeah, right. And we all believe that, don't we? No, none of us believe that. None of us believe it. Anyway, Saturday morning, while being held without bail in a federal lockup in Lower Manhattan, and he was wearing an orange jumpsuit when they don't even issue orange jumpsuits, they issue green ones. And they don't have any fixtures in the ceiling. It's like, like a flat fixture that you can't hang yourself from. So I'm not sure. And apparently the sheets, the sheet that he so-called hung himself with, are paper. So not sure how that works. Really strong paper, man. I don't know where they got those trees. Anyway, so the NYPD cops visible in the video are part of the FBI New York child exploitation and human, trafficking task force, CNBC said. The NYPD is a partner in the task force with the FBI that led to the arrest of Epic Find last month. An NYPD spokeswoman told the network the case remains an active and ongoing investigation, and the NYPD continues to work alongside the FBI in investigating leads, including at Epic Find's estate in the Virgin Islands. NYPD declines further comment on an ongoing investigation. Sure glad they got those computers, though. I hope they don't disappear. I hope they don't hang themselves. You know what I mean. All right. And let's go back. Why? Because we can. And we will. And we are. All right. Let's look at this now. Yeah, Don Lemon. Yeah. I mean, before we even read this, let's just do a collective eye roll. Just, takes the edge off it, I find. Maybe it just works for me, I don't know. Well, hello. Cat. Gone. Okay, well, why isn't this working? Here it is. A little slow. Kind of like Como. Slow Como. Okay, and there we go. Kelly Clarkson loses 50 pounds. Woo! CNN's, now this is distasteful. I'm just warning you in advance. CNN's Don Lemon sued for allegedly vigorously rubbing his genitalia, then sticking his fingers in a man's face. And what did the man say? I bet you he said, smells like lemon. Okay, that's a bad joke. I couldn't help myself. CNN's Don Lemon is being sued for allegedly putting his hand down his shorts, vigorously rubbing his genitalia, and shoving his index and middle fingers into a man's mustache at a bar. The incident allegedly took place at Sag Harbor bar called Murph's last summer. Dustin Heiss, the man suing Lemon, claims that prior to the incident he had offered to buy Lemon a drink and he declined. Mediate reports that later in the night, according to Heiss, Lemon approached him and his group of friends after putting his hand down his shorts. He vigorously rubbed his genitalia and shoved his index and middle finger into Heiss's mustache. I'll have my drink with lemon, please. Mr. Lemon intensely pushed his fingers against plaintiff's face under plaintiff's nose, forcing plaintiff's head to thrust backward as defendant repeatedly asked plaintiff, okay, I'm not saying that sentence, all right? Do you like cats or flicks? While saying this, Mr. Lemon continued to shove his finger into plaintiff's face with aggression and hostility. The suit says that Heiss was left with feelings of shame, humiliation, anxiety, anger, and guilt following the incident. And you know what? I am not discounting that, because I have been approached before very inappropriately, and it really did affect me. And I know, some people are probably saying, oh, he's too sensitive. No, I don't think so at all. Can you imagine? Like, and right into your mustache? Like, come on. I mean, the suit says that Heiss was left with, okay, I read that already. I know, you already know that, but I'm just telling you that I know that you know. CNN is standing by Lemon, claiming that Heiss has posted anti-CNN sentiments on his social media accounts. Well, who the heck hasn't? I mean, really, there are more people against CNN than were ever for it. Yeah, that means absolutely nothing. It's not about CNN. It's not about Don Lemon being on CNN. It's about you don't rub yourself and then shove your fingers into somebody's face. The plaintiff in the lawsuit has previously displayed a pattern of contempt for CNN on his social media accounts. A CNN spokesperson told media in a statement, this claim follows his unsuccessful threats and demands for an exorbitant amount of money from Don Lemon. Don categorically denies these claims, and this matter does not merit any further comment at this time. Well, it could be somebody wanting money, absolutely. But if someone had done that, that is sexual assault, if you ask me. That's assault. You don't do that to somebody. I mean, if it happened. The lawsuit comes just one day after CNN's Chris Como was caught on camera aggressively threatening to shove a man down a flight of stairs over being called Frito, the dumb brother from The Godfather, which insulted him. Poor Como. Oh. All right, so there you go. The guy deserves a trial. He deserves, being innocent until he's proven guilty. I don't like the guy, so I would like to believe that it's probably true. But again, he does deserve a fair trial. But if he's guilty, he deserves to pay. Absolutely. So there you go. You do the crime, you do the time. And let's look at this. This is important to get to before we stop. Many of you probably are aware of who Terrence Williams is. He is the young man that I mentioned before. He was invited to the White House. He was in a car accident on the way, which broke his neck. He has been recovering. Well, Trump retweeted one of his tweets, and now he's getting death threats from the left. So I'm trying to get to this. And here is from his Twitter, Terrence K. Williams. He says, they are coming after me. After Donald Trump retweeted me, I received threats, and now Facebook is after me. I'm worried about my safety. Please help get my story to the top. Please retweet or comment using hashtag protect Terrence K. Williams. Now, let's listen to what he has to say. Now, I have retweeted it. If you're on Twitter, he is a good person to follow. He's very humorous, and he is conservative, patriot, and let's listen to what he has to say here. He is a comedian, but serious here.
Ever since President Trump retweeted me, people have been sending me death threats, threatening me every single day, telling me I better watch my back. And back in February, when I was on my way to the White House, I was involved in a serious car wreck. My driver got into a wreck and I broke my neck and never made it to the White House. So I do not want to be hurt again. So these people need to tone down these death threats and these threats. They need to tone it down. I don't know what to think anymore. And now Facebook is after me. Facebook has sent out their fact checkers to fact check my page. They are telling my followers that my page is fake news, that my content is fake news. I am a comedian. How can you fact check a joke? I have never in my life heard about somebody fact checking a joke. What happened to free speech? Please, President Donald Trump, do something about this free speech stuff. They are coming after conservatives and Trump supporters because 2020 is around the corner and they are trying to shut me down. If anything happens to me, y'all, just know somebody on the left did it. Somebody that don't like Trump did it, okay? Just know that. And I want to let y'all know right now, I am not suicidal. I have not been having suicidal thoughts. I have not been thinking about committing suicide or hurting others. So if they say Terrence committed suicide one day, just know that is fake news. Just know that is a lie because I'm not suicidal. But these people are threatening me and Facebook is coming after me, trying to shut down my page, telling people to go to my page to report anything that they feel is fake news. They are trying to shut me down.
Now, this is absolutely unacceptable. This guy is funny, but he happens to support Trump. And unbelievable. And look at this. It says false rating on content shared by Terrence K. William. And I do believe they took him off of Twitter or whatever for a while. He is back, or maybe he's not. Maybe his page, no, he is. But yeah, I shared it on Twitter. Let people know this. If you are on Twitter, share this. Go to his page, Terrence K. Williams, at W_Terrence. And this is unacceptable. This guy he's a comedian. Yeah, it's very sad that we've come to this. It's unbelievable that he's got to watch his back. And look at what happened to little mini AOC, how they bullied her off because they sent her death threats. This little girl, death threats. They don't, the left doesn't want any jokes at all. Don't be joking, conservatives, because the left will come after you and they'll threaten to kill you and your family like they did to this little mini AOC and now Terrence Williams and many, many others. And I don't believe that accident that he was in was an accident, and neither does he, obviously. So yeah, it's gone way too far. These people are unhinged, completely and totally unhinged. So let's go back and just make sure that I've gotten to everything that I need to get to. Well, let me just go through these couple things too. This from Charlie Kirk. Voter fraud is real. Los Angeles County has a registration rate of 112% its adult population. The entire state of California has a registration rate of 101%. 11 of 58 counties in California have registration rates above 100%. Is this why California is solid blue? Of course it is. They know they can't win without the illegal immigrant vote. They know that. They're not stupid. Well, actually, no, they really are. They really are. They're crooked. They're depraved. They have reprobate minds, and yeah, they're stupid. That's why Q keeps saying these people are stupid. And the more you look into it, you got to agree. And this from Donald Trump. No debate on election security should go forward without first agreeing that voter ID identification must play a strong part in any final agreement. Without voter ID, it is all so meaningless. And of course it is, because without voter ID, we can never really know if the person that was elected was really elected by citizens. And you've got illegals. If you vote Trump and illegal votes against Trump, your vote is thrown out. It's been canceled. Not fair. All right. Well, I've got more here, but that is it. And it's getting late, and I don't think I'm going to do 2 videos tonight, but I am going to aim for that tomorrow, and we'll catch up with the stuff that is left over from today, and we will cover tomorrow's news as well. So thank you guys so much for listening. Many of you are just such faithful listeners, and I always ask myself, why are they listening to me? I don't know, but I'm glad you do, because I really enjoy this, and I enjoy you guys. I enjoy your comments and so forth. So thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. It is now 10:56 p.m. Eastern Time if you're on medication, and that's it. So you stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and remember, see something, say something, because a lot of people, there's a lot of chatter about false flags. So just stay aware, stay awake, stay, very vigilant, and keep seeking truth. Deception bites. Good night.